Hi folks, this is Mike Jordan. Thank you for joining today. We're going to spend just a few minutes talking about Master Data Governance for asset data. Here's the agenda. We'll cover a very quick introduction to Utopia and then move right into discussion of SAP's Master Data Governance tool, talking about what it is, where it fits in the SAP technology stack, and then about what Utopia has done in particular addressing the needs of the EAM community for Master Data Governance. And then finally a bit of information about Utopia's Try and Buy program. I'll move quickly. Very briefly, Utopia is a services company focusing very particularly on data. As I speak to the Utopia capabilities, I talk to enterprise asset management in particular because I drive the EAM practice of Utopia. But Utopia at large is a big data transformation, migration, enrichment, cleansing company. We do most of our work with SAP, and we're involved across the board as an SAP partner in addressing business needs of primarily asset-intensive customers that require help with data. I won't read all the slide of our capabilities to you. Headquarters is Chicago. We have a global presence. We are roughly 500 people, and we are focused on the very activities that we'll talk about today. I mentioned that we work primarily with asset-intensive industries. Here is a sampling of the customers we've done work with. If you look at the quadrants, you can see the upper left, as I said, we get involved quite a bit in data migration, in migration of legacy systems into SAP, consolidation of multiple instances into one ERP environment. All things data migration has been a traditional strength of Utopia. Data strategy is a more focus on optimized use of your asset information and your data at large, and looking at enterprise data lifecycle management best practices. Enterprise content management, archival, decommissioning, master data management at large is the scope of the lower right-hand quadrant, and the left-hand quadrant is enterprise asset management. We've combined both of those quadrants in the discussion today, bringing Utopia's rich expertise in asset information and maintenance, repair, and overhaul into the master data management world to talk about lifecycle management of asset information. Utopia has long had a practice with SAP's Master Data Management Solution Suite and Master Data Governance in particular. If you're already familiar with MDG, you'll recognize this as a slide that SAP uses quite often. MDG is part of SAP's Enterprise Information Management Solution Suite and is a very good flexible tool that addresses governance of any type of information, all in the SAP arena. It's process-oriented, configurable, and really being well received in the market as a means to get the data right and keep it right in your SAP environment. If you look at the way Master Data Governance, the solution type flows, it works in a very logical fashion, addressing first of all the needs of building out a staging area, such that you can interact with information in terms of change requests, creation requests, and building up and staging the information in a logical fashion before putting it into SAP. The solution allows you to engage external processes, external solution providers, so that you can reuse that logic that's built up in external purposes or engage external systems for data enrichment or validation or analysis. The workflow engine is the SAP workflow engine, so you quite likely have workflow development experts in your SAP organization. The processes defined in MDG use that workflow engine and use it to best effect, because what this allows us to do now is engage the subject matter experts, engage the external systems, engage all the necessary players in a management of change workflow for asset master data, and develop the audit trail, so that now we're able to say, not only I see the data in SAP associated with an asset, but I can now look at the audit trail and say, I know the source of this information, I know the processes, the validation, the enrichment, all of the steps that came to make that data exactly right in SAP, and all of that is now available in an auditable process. MDG extends beyond the bounds of SAP, so it allows us to replicate information in non-SAP systems. So if you're doing a management of change function or a governance function and wish to write information to external systems such as OpenText or an engineering data warehouse, you can engage the same workflow to enrich and update the external systems and maintain configuration control of information beyond SAP. And finally, store that information in multiple systems and work across the enterprise so that MDG can interact with your other systems of record and be that enterprise source of master data. This is another SAP slide. This is how SAP describes their master data governance MDG solution as it sits in the broader SAP stack. On the left-hand side, you see that MDG uses SAP Information Steward and Data Services in particular as the basis for the validation rules, the transformation rules. This allows you to repurpose that existing set of business rules that you've built for other purposes and use, again, standard SAP functionality for the purposes of master data governance. In the center, light-colored boxes, you see the 4 domains that SAP delivers out of the box for MDG. Well received in the marketplace and widely distributed, MDG provides that governance capability out of the box for finance, materials, customers, and vendors. Again, building on the entire ERP technology stack to accomplish that. Now, if you look at what Utopia has done in particular, building on that rich MDG platform, we're doing work now to address some very particular business needs associated with asset master data governance. If you're on this call, you're probably in this community, so it's very familiar to you to discuss the impact of accurate master data and the way that it drives the ability to reduce environmental health and safety risk, improve operational performance, and achieve regulatory compliance. Basically, sound knowledge of your as-built assets is the basis for everything you do in the EAM arena. The particular business cases that we engage are the ones you're familiar with. Capital projects are a situation where there's enormous change in assets or addition of assets to your infrastructure. Capital project information handover handled improperly can add up to 1% of the total capital project cost to your capital project activity. So MDG and the infrastructure to properly deal with capital project information handover, capture those asset information elements, transform them appropriately, and get them into the EAM environment is one of the major points of engagement. Likewise, shutdowns and turnarounds. If you do maintenance on an annual or biannual basis in a shutdown, turnaround, or an outage, this is a time when you make enormous amount of changes to your facilities in very short order. Capturing those changes and getting that as-built and updated information back into your systems of record is a major driver for ongoing productivity. Mergers and acquisitions is another situation that we encounter quite often. If you're acquiring new facilities or new blocks of assets, doing the migration from the legacy systems into your master EAM environment and capturing and loading, configuring the asset information is another major time of change of infrastructure that needs to be updated in your EAM environment. Regulatory compliance, we talked about earlier. Being able to confidently say I have accurate information associated with my safety critical and my business critical assets is fundamental to effective operation, and in many industries is a fundamental component of regulatory compliance. The final business driver is operational excellence, as we mentioned earlier. Just the basis for any advanced maintenance and repair and overhaul strategy, risk-based assessments, optimized maintenance planning, fundamentally depends on knowing what assets you have in the field and being able to describe those accurately. If you look at why this hasn't been done already, it's very understandable, particularly for those of you that are in this business. It's a complicated problem. This is an example from one of our customers' linkages associated with asset-related information. It's not a single information object. It's not a single bit of data. This is a very typical hierarchy, as we see, of information elements. And if you look at the color coding, these are the various owners of the various information elements that are relevant to EAM. And configuration control and continued linkage of each of those elements is a fundamental requirement for being able to make the changes intelligently. If you drill that down into SAP modules and SAP components, here's a simplified but not quite simple map of the various information elements, from functional locations to equipments to material masters to bills of material, also maintenance plans, maintenance strategies. It's not a simple problem, but addressing that properly is really a requirement to being able to work effectively in an automated EAM environment. This brings you to the work that Utopia is quite happy to be pushing forward with SAP. We've long been an SAP partner, and we have built upon that partnership, built upon our expertise first in data governance and also in EAM to build out the out-of-the-box capabilities of SAP for the domains you see on the right: equipment masters, functional locations, bills of material, work centers. Utopia is building out, or has built out, and is deploying these capabilities to make out-of-the-box capabilities available from SAP MDG to address these particular domain-specific issues. As you see in the pretty colors there, Utopia focused primarily on designing and building the new capabilities. SAP participated with us in those design activities. SAP is now taking a very strong and active role in testing and validation of these capabilities, and as we deploy the capabilities, SAP then engages to take a very strong role in support. So throughout the life cycle of the capabilities, this is a collaborative effort that brings the best of SAP's strengths and Utopia as a partner. We talked earlier about the interactive nature of the various domains. We'll talk about the specific modules that Utopia has built as a part of this offering, and they move together. So, described here in another architecture slide, Utopia is building out the modules in green: equipment masters, functional location, bills of material, work centers, task lists, maintenance plans, measuring points, production resources, and object links. Each of the major objects in the EAM space, and we're building out the capability for these tools to interact, working in an SAP staging area. so that you can begin by defining equipment masters in a staging area, assigning those equipment masters to particular functional locations. That then can be stored away in a what-if scenario. So you're not immediately building into a live SAP environment, but you're working in an ECC6 staging area. So you can use all of the strengths of SAP PM for visualization, but you're not loading into SAP operating environment. So we can build out equipment masters, flocks, bombs, add in the materials all in the staging area, then only when you're ready, publishing that information in toto into your operating environment. To discuss the rest of the picture, you see again the orange vertical bars, material, finance, customer, and vendor are the 4 SAP out-of-the-box domains. Utopia is building out the green suite, and they will work and act and feel exactly like other SAP domains. They will be MDG without any proprietary outside of SAP technology. So user interfaces, workflows, validation rules, you're building in all the strengths of SAP, just now able to build that capability into an MDG for EAM work environment. These capabilities from Utopia were first announced back in first of the year at the Best Practices for Oil and Gas conference with SAP. The configurable packages from Utopia are out-of-the-box capable, as I mentioned, coming with data models, change requests, business rules, user interfaces, workflows that reflect Utopia and SAP expertise describing the best practices for EAM. So all configurable, but with an excellent jumping off point to work from day one for you as an EAM Master Data Governance tool. The modules themselves are available from Utopia. They build upon MDG, and you would first acquire MDG custom object licenses from SAP. Then the Utopia content would layer on top and run as a standard MDG operation. We, Utopia, have done a few things to make it simpler for you to do a try and buy of these capabilities, beginning with a half-day workshop that allows us to jump in with you and look at your particular business requirements for data governance. We can work with you to look at the out-of-the-box capabilities and how they map to your particular needs for data governance, which modules make sense to employ, how we can use your existing workflows, your existing validation and business rules if you've done work already in information steward and data services. And this half-day workshop will get you very quickly to defining business case and a phased rollout for the capability. Beyond that, we have MDG and MDG for EAM running in the Utopia cloud. So we can take the out-of-the-box capability, apply configuration for your business processes, your data, and provide that in a hosted MDG trial environment for 30 or 60 days, so that there is a very effective try and buy program that works with your data, your processes, interacting with your ECC6 environment in a hosted realm. Perhaps this slide says what I already said. The pre-configured system can address materials. Customer, supplier, financial is SAP configured domains that are available in the cloud environment. So we're able to interact or integrate your MDG for materials, which comes from SAP, with our equipment master, our functional locations, our bombs, and build this out in a fully deployed hosted environment to give you that try and buy capability for a full up MDG experience. Let's open the floor for questions.
Okay, an attendee for today's webinar asked, are these capabilities available today?
Yes, short answer, yes. We are deploying today with with several customers. We began with equipment module with functional locations. We're now deploying bills of material, and we have a fast-track development effort that will roll out the remaining modules during the next 2 quarters. So the logical starting point is flocks, equipment, bombs. Those are available today, and as we roll out additional modules, they will pop out quicker than your logical deployment cycle. So we're ready to start, and our commitments to the marketplace, to SAP, to you, the customers, are to have all the modules available in the first part of this year, or first 3 quarters of this year, well before you're ready for them.
All right, we have another question. What is included in the 30-day test?
The 30-day program provides hosted access to the MDG modules we described, engages the Utopia MDG experts on your site for a package of consulting hours that begins with defining your business processes, your data types, configuring and structuring MDG to address your business problems, and building, deploying the proof of concept with your data in the hosted environment. So it's access to the full boat of software, and then Utopia's MDG expertise for blocks of hours on your site. That beyond the packaged offering is certainly extensible, so that we can roll up our sleeves and jump in with you and give you a very effective proof of concept.
All right, we have another question. Does this process handle an example where the same type of equipment is in 3 different SAP instances under 3 different equipment numbers to harmonize descriptions, classifications, etc.?
Great question, and yes, certainly does. That's a very typical situation that we would encounter. Several of our existing customers have multiple SAP instances, and building out the business rules and the work processes to establish your standards and then synchronize multiple dissimilar information sources that is right in the sweet spot of where MDG is capable. We would build the workflows to do that harmonization using standard SAP workflow tools. The validation rules would be in data services and would provide the mapping that looks to the various configurations, maps those to your standard, and then does the transformation among the 3 systems. So yes, that is mainstream, and it's beyond the out-of-the-box capability, but can certainly be configured during the course of a hosted eval.
Another question. Can you give examples of pre-configured delivered finance objects?
Pre-configured delivered finance objects.
Pre-configured and or delivered finance objects.
That question, the answer to that is known by Utopia, but no. Unfortunately, you got the EAM guy on the line. I can introduce you to the broader MDG team that does do deployment of SAP's finance module in MDG. So if you want to pass the contact information along, I can introduce you to the guy that's the expert at that. I'm just not him.
Does the information gathering include a field walkdown?
Utopia provides field data collection services. There is a block of hours associated with the Try and Buy program that's focused particularly on MDG expertise. We do provide field data collection services, and that too is a very typical requirement in the EAM space. So if that's your business need, we would typically start with looking at your engineering design base. If you're a process-related customer, that might be P&IDs. to look at your engineering design basis, to recognize what tags you have in the field, to look to your existing SAP to identify what SAP believes is in the field, then compare the two information sources and then task a field data collection team to go validate as built versus the various information sources. The field guys will collect information, brass tag information, manufacturer model number, and that is the beginning of the data governance activity. MDG would take brass tag information, look to your equipment masters to see if you have existing equipment masters that match that manufacturer model number. We can enrich that if required. Look to see if you have duplicate equipments that we can match for bills of material, for material masters. So we could very quickly carve out a portion of your plant. You might just want to do safety critical equipment or business critical equipment as a first go, to do field data collection and then work right into an MDG environment to do the validation, transformation, enrichment, and population into your EAM. Long answer to a short question, but if we carve out the right small tasking, you could even take that thread through a hosted try and buy environment.
All right. Another question, will the various EAM MDG models work collaboratively?
Yes, they do. And that, frankly, is a big portion of the design work that we're now taking on with SAP. As I mentioned, one of the real strengths of MDG is that it is a staging area. So you can build out multiple what-if scenarios and enrich those individually without ever loading SAP. So if you're just using the equipment and functional locations, well, say you're using equipment functional locations and bombs from the Utopia content, you could start with functional location, assign equipment to it, which is a different MDG module, assign a bill of material to that, also an MDG module from Utopia, then use the material module to create new materials, add those to the bomb, add the bomb to the flock. So the individual components do work interactively, and the workflows and the business rules can be configured such that you never put a functional location into SAP unless it has a bomb assigned, and the bomb can only be assigned if it has at least one material. So there you can structure business rules that work across the objects such that you can control the overall deployment of EAM capabilities. Not a simple thing, but an important one as we take on the task of making MDG relevant for EAM.
Another question, would the EAM portion extend to assistance for materials harmonization as used in BOM and the construction field type, or construction type field?
Yes, absolutely. Certainly does, and in fact that is that's the particular focus of one of our Pathfinder customers that's deploying today. Construction type field is a very important capability or important attribute, particularly for capital project related work, and harmonization of materials is where that comes to bear with supply chain optimization requirements. So yes, absolutely. If you'd like to follow up with us, we can provide demonstrations of that particular capability.
Do you see this MDG tool as a solution for regulatory compliance?
Good question. This is another area that we're getting a lot of early attention as we build out business rules focused particularly for safety critical equipment. We have a customer that's focused particularly there now to be able to say, beginning with field data collection, we have put eyes on the equipment to collect the brass tags for all safety critical equipment, then carry that through the validation, the enrichment, the transformation processes, engaging the necessary domain experts to look at configuration of the data, with the end result being we have a robust audit trail associated with all safety critical equipment that will be able to demonstrate that we have complete, perfect knowledge of as-built condition in the field and the EAM build-out for all safety critical equipment, including ensuring that we have maintenance plans in place, that we have bills of material, that we have inspections, that we have everything necessary to guarantee safe operating conditions based upon EAM best practices.
Does Utopia support cloud-based solutions that send and receive data between customer and vendor scenario?
I need to defer that question in particular to our enterprise architects. I understand the question. I want to say yes, but I need probably to defer that one to the guys that are doing our more exhaustive cloud-based work. I'll introduce them to the smart guy, and we will do that question again. Thanks for your question.